Class 2 of FFA market goats weighing 71 pounds to 86 pounds. The first exhibitor is Isabella Hutton of Morgan Hill FFA. Exhibitor number 2 is Sienna Stutzman of Morgan Hill FFA. Exhibitor number 3 is also Sienna Stutzman of Morgan Hill FFA. Exhibitor number 4 is Terrence Lim of Sobrato FFA. Exhibitor 5 is Elizabeth Palini of Gilroy FFA. Exhibitor 6 is also Elizabeth Palini of Gilroy FFA. And exhibitor number 7 is Troy Smith of Morgan Hill FFA.
In our second class of FFA market weathers, really nice individual to start this particular class off with. Really impressive little weather. You look at him from the side profile. Pushes real hard, but he looks like he's a massive racked, massive topped kind of a goat. Tons of bone work in this individual, really wide based and opened up. Very, very powerful in his structure and his build. Doesn't lead particularly well, but you can tell that he has some structural correctness. But when this weather gets on the push, you can see how much muscularity is there. You can see how much mass and power that he possesses. Really easy to start this class with that particular weather. In second, young ladies' weathers, one that is a little tough to analyze. The video is a little tougher because he's a little bit further away, not quite as close up as you'd like to see him, but you can tell he's bigger in his type and his kind than the goat that I started the class off with. But he doesn't quite have as much balance and as much look to him. He's definitely massive and has a lot of weight and a lot of width. But as I compare him to that weather that we started the class with, he isn't quite as balanced. He isn't quite as complete. He's a little deeper in his breastplate, a little more coarse in his shoulder. But a goat you got to appreciate for having that width and that muscularity to him. Certainly a nice individual to go into second. The goat that falls into third, one that, as I analyze him, he just simply doesn't have as much depth to his side, as much openness to his body as the goats that are ahead of him. I really like his profile in terms of his front end. He's long-necked, he's smooth-shouldered, freaky long and extended in his build. But he's one that he's just off in his hock just a touch. He slopes out his hip, and definitely a little bit more tubular in his rib shape than I'd like to see him. I don't necessarily need him to be really deep and waisty, but I'd like to see a meat animal have just a touch more depth to his sides than he does. Aside from that, a really nice goat to go into third. The goat that falls into fourth, the larger caped individual, is one that you really appreciate in terms of having some balance. He's nice on the profile. He's really smooth and agile as he's on the move. But he's one, when you compare him to the individuals that are ahead of him, pretty big quality difference. He doesn't have quite as much look to him. He doesn't have as much hardness and shape to his muscle. But he's one that you really got to like in terms of being a productive, useful kind of a weather that goes into fourth. As we look at the next individual, one that's kind of similar in his build to the goat that we actually had in second in the class, but just has nowhere near as much muscle or as much mass. From the side, very similar. From the rear, he just starts to run out through his hip. He's a lot narrower and flatter through his lower leg. One that just needs to have more muscularity to be competitive with those that are ahead of him. The next two weathers down the line, the doe that's here, one that, again, you like it for having some productivity to it. It's got some rib shape and some body, similar to the individual that we have that rounds out the class. They've got some depth to their side and some openness to their rib, just don't have enough muscle to compete with the individuals ahead of them. They're a little bit more sloped to their tail set. They're ones that just need a lot more muscularity through that lower leg to be more competitive. Excellent class of 7 in this second FFA class, and we will judge the next class.